Welcome back to another video. Sit back, relax, enjoy the show. MeiaSoQuick with the uploads. Intro's over. Subscribe before you go. Welcome back. It's MeiaSoQuick, and we are finally here. Our last day of our 12 days of Christmas nail art series. So just as normal, I'm gonna go in with my Beetles base gel and apply a thin coat of that and let that fully cure. And then I'm taking this brown kind of camel-like color 297 from Beetles, and I'm just going to apply a thin coat of that. You can see it's like super opaque, so you don't need more than one coat here. And for today's nails, I wanted to do something special, so I was browsing, the internet, the web, and I came across a picture of, I think she's a YouTuber named Miss Jo, and she did these beautiful like Christmas stockings. So I'm pretty much just gonna try to recreate that. Okay, so after I've got this camel colored laid down, I'm gonna go into this 331, which is a brown, and I'm gonna go ahead and grab my striping brush because I'm gonna be laying a brick pattern. Okay, so the first thing that I'm just doing is just gonna make a bunch of horizontal lines. You want to make sure that it's about evenly spaced out all the way through, otherwise I don't know if it'll look like a brick really. Okay, how thin you make the lines I don't think really matters. You can make them thin or you can make them thick, but I'm just going to go down the full length of the nail, and I'm going to just do these horizontal lines. Once I've got all my horizontal lines, I'm going to go ahead and cure that before I move on, because knowing me, I'm always bumping something, and I don't want to mess it up. Okay, so as you can see, I just take my time. I think I left this in real time just so you guys can see that I kind of go both sides, look from one way to the other way, and just to make sure that it's all lined up. And if you ever make any mistakes, just keep a cleanup brush next to you. I usually use acetone, but you can also use some alcohol if you can find it. I don't know, with C19, like I can't find any isopropyl alcohol anywhere. It's like sold out all the time. But there you go. So as I said, this is what my nail looks like after I've done all those horizontal lines. And now my next thing is going to be just doing some vertical lines in between these lines. Okay, not hard at all. So what I'll do is, with a brick pattern, you want to make sure that the bricks on top do not align. So pretty much all I do is make my lines, and then in the next row my lines go in between those lines that I did before. Right? It makes sense. We've all can probably draw bricks to a certain degree. Alright, but that's what I'm doing here, as you can see, and then you're just going to continue this pattern all the way down, and then go ahead and let that fully cure as well. So now that I've got that, what I'm going to do is, with that brown that I had before, I'm going to mix in some of my base gel just to try to, I don't know, make it a little bit more transparent, right? Just to give it a different little bit of a shade. So I went in and I mixed those colors, just the base gel with my brown, and it gave me like a lighter type of brown. And what I'm going to use that for is to go ahead and shade in these bricks. I'm just using the same striping brush. It's the only thing I'm going to use during this whole video, okay? So I'm taking that striping brush, and then I'm just going in between each of the bricks, and I'm just adding this little shading on there. As you can see, you probably can't really see it so much with this angle and how my light is flashing on it, but that's all I'm doing. And this will just kind of give it like a textured look, give it a more realistic feel, okay? So once you've got all that, you definitely want to go ahead and cure this in the lamp as well. And then you can also go in and do the same thing over with like a deeper brown, but you just don't want it to like overtake the whole nail. But that is what it looks like when it's all said and done. As you can see, it's kind of have this little weathered look, and it looks a little bit more realistic. Okay, so now I'm going to actually start with the actual stocking itself. I'm going to go in with my red, which is in the color 330. And then straight out of it, I'm just going to go ahead and start drawing the little shape, which is kind of like a little, I make it like a little hook, like a J, if you will. And then I just close it in, almost like doing a bubble letter J. I mean, that's the biggest thing that I can say that a Christmas stocking, I guess, would look like. Okay, so once I've got the whole shape in, as you can see, I'm just gonna go ahead, sketch it all out, and then I'm gonna go ahead and fill it all in. Okay, you can do a flash cure once you get the shape if if you're nervous, or you can go directly in and just fill it in. Okay, and I don't show it on camera, but I did fill it all in, and then once it was all filled in, I cured it, and then when it came out, it was still a little bit too transparent, so I went ahead and did a second coat. So as you can see here, where the lines don't really show through the stocking. Okay, once I did that, I'm grabbing number 325, and I'm going to use this to go ahead and do the little fluff at the top, right? The little fluffy part of the stocking. And all I'm pretty much doing is just drawing like a rectangle at the top, and then I'm gonna fill that in with white. Okay, if your lines aren't super perfect, that's okay, because this doesn't really have to be perfect. Okay, if the line is kind of off, it kind of probably makes it look even more realistic, since a lot of times these things are furry anyway. So as normal, once I'm done with that, I go ahead and cure it, and this is what I'm working with now. So my next step, I'm going to be taking this 344. In the video that I seen with Miss Jo, she did a loop. I probably should have did it on the other side, but you'll see what I mean later on. But I just did this as a little loop, which eventually the stocking cap is going to hang from. And then I took the ittiest bittiest tiny bit of black and mixed it in with this red to try to get a deeper red, because I'm going to go ahead and use this to do the shading on the stocking, like I said, just to make it look a little bit more realistic, right? So all I do is just take that deeper red, and then just on the outer edges of this stocking, I'm going to go ahead and just kind of no in particular pattern, but just trying to keep it towards that one side. I'm just going to go ahead and do some shading with this, and then I let that cure as normal. So as you can see, that shading really helps it kind of come to life. And then the next thing, I'm going to grab this red, this 617. It's like a neon brighter red, and I'm going to use that to go on the other side that I didn't do the dark shading, and I'm just going to add in some highlights, okay? So same thing, just no particular order with this, okay? There's no method to my madness, but I'm just going to go ahead and highlight, and then once again cure that in the lamp. Okay, now taking 344 along with some of my base gel, okay? This is how I get that like really see-through kind of black, so it's not super dominant. I'm gonna use that, and I'm gonna do some shading underneath the actual furry part where it touches on the red. So you just dip into that little mixture of that base gel with that black, and then I'm just, like I said, just shading under this, and it kind of gives it like a shadow effect. I even take this little shadow effect up onto the actual white fluff, and it gives it a little bit more, like I said, of a shadow there. And then I mixed in a tiny bit of white with that same mixture I just had, and I'm doing the inside of the stocking. So I'm kind of creating a circular border so it looks like there's actually, you know, a place where you can go in the stocking, just to try to give it some dimension, and I let that fully cure. Once I'm done with that, I go ahead and I grab some white, and I'm just making a little loop through the little black circle that I made earlier. You stick one side in and the other comes out on the other, and then I'm just looping. And like I said, I probably should have did this loop on the other side, but it works out fine either way. Now at this point you could be good and be done, but as I said in the video, she did a lot of steps, and I was really trying to push myself to see if I can actually do this. So the next thing I did was just do a little snowflake, and if you've seen, I don't know, I probably did it on like day 2. I go into more details on how to do a snowflake, so if you look at my day 2 snowflake nail art, you can see how I did this, since I couldn't really zoom in here. But it's just a lot of dots, and then you drag out some lines, and then you get a snowflake. That's pretty much it. So once I got the snowflake, I went back to that black mixed with my base gel that gave me that real transparent black, and I'm going to use that just to create the shadow around the stocking, keeping it to one side and the bottom of the stocking as if the light was shining over from the left. Yeah, I think that's how the shadows work. The light would be on the left, and then the shadow comes behind it. Whatever, you guys get it, okay? Like Peter Pan. And then the last step I did was I went ahead and with my black, and then on my fine brush, I just went ahead and wrote out my name, Meia, M-E-I-A, in case y'all didn't know that that's what that was, MeiaSoQuick. And the final step is clearly going in and applying my shiny top coat and giving it a full cure, and that is the nail. I think this is like super cute, right? I'm in love with this. I can only imagine if I like did a whole set of something or whatever, but definitely ending my 12 days of Christmas nail art on a high note, okay? So hopefully you guys have enjoyed this series. Hopefully you guys have experience with some nail art as well, because I had a lot of fun doing this. But thank you guys so much for watching, and please feel free to like, comment, subscribe, share. Also go check out Miss Jo's channel, I believe she has. And then I'll see you guys in the next one. Maybe I'll get back and actually start doing some more customs. All right, bye. Merry Christmas.